Hello and welcome to episode number 1 of the Zen Disc Golf podcast. Welcome to episode 1 of the Zen Disc Golf podcast. My name is Patrick McCormick, and sitting across from me is my co-host, Zach Engelhart. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, not too bad, Pat. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And so this is our first episode ever. So some of you may know some things about me. Probably not a lot of you know much about Zach. And to be quite honest, most people don't know too much about me other than the fact that I wrote a book. It's called Zen and the Art of Disc Golf. And it's available on Amazon. It's available at a lot of local pro shops and other companies that I'm working with. Zach, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, Pat. Well, I'm Zach Engelhart, like you said. Live here in Virginia Beach. From New York. Huge fan of the sport and a huge fan of your book. And find myself here at this table today because of your book and because of your book signing.
That's awesome. We didn't know each other, what, 2 months ago?
No, sir.
Isn't that crazy? But Zach and I actually met at a book signing. Found out he was local. He found out I was local. Started talking about courses that he'd like to play at, and there were some of the same ones that I did. We hooked up and exchanged information, started playing out on the course, and got to know one another. And when I was brainstorming this podcast, he was one of the first people I thought that would make a great co-host, primarily because he balances me out pretty well. I'm pretty low-key kind of, I just take it easy and all that kind of stuff. Trust me, if it was by myself on the podcast, you might get bored. So I had to bring entertainment on board. And Zach's a funny guy. He's got a lot to say. For the podcast, we're going to try and keep it, for the most part, clean. However, I do have to warn you, Zach is a sailor.
I am, very much so.
and I am a firefighter. So we do have that going for us or holding us back as far as cleanliness. Disc golf is definitely going to be the main objective, especially the mental side of the game, because, I mean, really, how much can you listen to about how to throw a disc on a podcast? Chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you're already out there throwing, you're already out there practicing. So we're going to talk a lot about the mental side of the game, and a lot about just the sport in general, growing the sport. And we're going to be talking to a lot of people out there who aren't just throwing the hashtag around grow the sport. They're actually growing the sport. Today we're actually have a privilege of talking to Alan Barker, and he's one of the founders of the online store Infinite Discs, which if you're a fan of or a friend of mine on Facebook, you know that they sponsor a lot of our giveaways and things like that. So he was a natural person for me to come to first. I personally really like his store and just the way that he does things as far as customer service and social networking, I think is just really, really great. I don't see a lot of people doing a lot of the same things that they're doing, and that's why I wanted to hook up with them. So that's pretty much what we're going to talk about today. We're gonna go over some stuff from the book. We're gonna do a couple other things, but Zach, we got to talk about how we met and just some of the
some of the tomfoolery therein.
Yeah, and nothing too crazy, but as I mentioned, we did meet at the book signing, and there was something kind of crazy that happened while you were there.
Oh, yes, absolutely. A very aggressive man showed up to the book signing, wasn't even participating in reading the books, but certainly was interested in you, Pat.
Yeah. So that sounds so awful.
Small backstory. I saw an advertisement for Zen and the Art of Disc Golf on Facebook. It caught my interest, and actually,
So you hadn't heard of the book before we met?
No, not at all. I heard about the book via Facebook, and I actually went to the Lynn Haven store here in Virginia Beach, and they had a sign, I imagine that you put up yourself, for your book signing. So that piqued my interest, and it made me really want to see what the book was all about and how it pertained to disc golf.
Then it's all money well spent.
Yes,
here we are today, talking. All right.
So I come to the store, and I do about the creepiest thing possible, which is I just blow right past the table and stand behind the table to eavesdrop on your conversation, try to figure out a little bit about who Pat McCormick is.
You totally did, because I was honestly having a conversation about with my wife, and I think we were talking about somebody had asked me when the last time I played was, and my response to her was, if my readers knew I haven't played in like a month. And, because I talk all the time about how, when I first got started, when I was writing the book, I was playing every day. But, putting together a book, putting together all this stuff. And plus, like I mentioned, I'm a firefighter. I got life. That's my career full time. So, took a lot out of me. Didn't get out on the course. So I was saying that to her, and she's like, shh, there's somebody behind you. And I turn around and there's Zach. But then I turn back around, and this man comes up, and
he asks you for help. And assuming that you're an employee of the store, being the nice guy that you are, you actually give him direction.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, what you're looking for is in the back corner of the store. And what did he say to you?
Well, they put me right at the front of the store, which makes it kind of look like I guess we're working there. But I mean, so anyways, he says, I'm looking for those grip things that strengthen your grip. And I've walked around this store numerous times, so I thought I remembered him in the back right-hand corner of the store. So I said, no, sir, I don't work here. I'm just here signing books. But I think what you're looking for is in the back right-hand corner of the store. So he turns around frustrated, begins walking away, and then flips back around and says, if it's not there, I'm going to beat your ass.
Which is a pretty aggressive statement to the man selling the Zen and the Art of Disc Golf book.
Wow.
And so he takes off, and of course that caught my attention, and seeing how diplomatic you were in that situation, I was very fitting for.
I don't know if I was diplomatic. I was speechless, really. I was totally unprepared for that. Here's the guy who wrote the book about positivity and visualization, and if you see it, that it'll happen. So I started wondering myself, what had I visualized that morning that caused such aggression to just walk into my life?
It makes you wonder: are you riding there in the car? Are you riding in your Prius, like flexing out in the car, ready for a fight, or what?
You had to throw the Prius in there.
Oh yeah. I'm never going to let that go.
Hey, in my defense, it is machine gun gray.
Yes, very, very masculine shade of gray on your Prius. So he goes off and finds what he's looking for, and then what happens?
He comes back, and he's actually turns out just to be as nice as possible. So it makes you wonder if he was joking. It just didn't seem like he was joking, in the beginning. But he's just nice, and he starts talking to my wife, starts up this long conversation and about stuff that strangers just do not talk about. And luckily Zach walks up and kind of steps in front of the table, and he wants to get a book and get it signed and all that kind of stuff. The guy realizes that we're doing business there and kind of moves on. Hey, if the guy would have, asked me about the book, I've been more happy to tell him about the book. But
absolutely, he probably could have used it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess so. Isn't that the irony of life?
Absolutely. I mean, I guess for him, Zen and the Art of Disc Golf will help, but it seems like he needs a book called Zen and the Art of Buying Stuff at Played Against Sports.
Could you imagine how somebody who's just going to walk up to a random stranger in a store who's trying to help them and threaten them, how they deal in their own life? I always talk about how we are in the disc golf, of course, is how we are in life. And I always wonder when I get those really quick glimpses of people, and it doesn't... I don't want to say it comes from a place of judgment, but at the same time, if you're going to do A here, then what makes you not do A or, B here?
Right.
And so it makes you wonder, well, obviously, the dude's miserable.
Oh, yeah.
But, how aggressive is he to the people he knows?
Well, it makes you wonder what his parenting tactics are like.
Well, I don't want to even bring that into question. It might not be apparent, but
fair enough.
Luckily my children, my unborn child, was not there.
Thank goodness.
That's right. I guess you heard it here first. I am having a baby boy.
Congratulations, Pat. That is amazing.
Oh, yeah. We are super excited about that. And really, it couldn't have happened at a better time. Right before the book release came is when my wife told me she was pregnant. And this book taking off has really been, for lack of a better word, really a blessing in our life. And so we're trying to hang on to that just as long as we possibly can.
Got a caddy.
Yeah, caddy.
Absolutely.
Paul Macbeth, watch your title. My son is coming after.
Coming to get you. I love
it. So we're going to go into a segment that we're going to do every podcast. And basically what it is we've taken a 5-star review from off the web. And if you follow me on my social media, you know I love to give stuff away. I really genuinely like to give. And if you've read the book, you know that I say, as you give to the universe will give back to you. And so somebody gave to me a good review here on Amazon. I'm going to have Zach read it. And we're going to send, if you write me back at zendiscgolf@gmail.com, if you send me your information, I'm going to send you a signed book. It's a pretty good deal, huh?
All right. Yeah, absolutely. So this review is titled Then Go Play the Best Round You've Had in Weeks by Nicholas Huist.
Huist?
Not entirely certain. Hopefully I'm not butchering your name, pal. And this was from November 27th of 2014, and he bought the book on paperback. So here it goes. Disc golf is so much more mental than physical. Your attitude toward the game can affect every shot on the course. Zen and the Art of Disc Golf is there for your mental game. This isn't a rule book. It's a mental break. Sit down, read some, get your mind straight, then go play the best round you've had in weeks. Do yourself a favor and order this book. Then help #grow the sport and buy a copy for your buddy.
I like how you added the extra drama to that.
Absolutely.
As if he was sitting there pecking at the keys right in front of us reading that. Thanks, Nicholas. I really appreciate you putting that review up there. You all have no idea how much the reviews help on Amazon. And every podcast that Zach and I do, I'm going to be giving something away. In this case, I'm going to send him a signed book. So this week on in Zen Disc Golf on the web, we did release the minis. You got yours?
Oh, yeah, they're amazing. I was so fortunate to get 2 of them. I believe I was the first person out playing with them besides yourself there.
You got number what?
2 and 80.
2 and 80.
Yep.
Yeah, they're hand numbered, numbers 1 through 100, and I gave you number 2 and number 80 on purpose. 2 to kind of hang on to, and 80 to actually have on the course with you, get a little dirty.
Absolutely.
So you get the minis and the stickers. So we sold, I think, 55 in 12 hours, which is amazing.
They were flying off the shelves, so to speak. It was impressive. I was actually with Pat, and while we're out on the golf course, your phone is going nuts.
Ding, 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 ding. And I mean, golly. So then yesterday, or it was Monday. Monday, I actually had to sit down, print out all the labels, and then, cut them, stuff everything. And it took me at least 5 hours to package up everything.
Oh, wow.
Just to send it out that day. But hey, small price to pay for, success and people who believe in what you're doing, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I appreciate y'all so much for doing that and purchasing those. I really hope you enjoy them. Stick them somewhere visible and tell your friends.
Be sure to take some photos and send them off on Twitter too.
Yeah, absolutely. Tag Zen Disc Golf. We're at Zen Disc Golf. I also got another interesting piece on the web. I got actually an Instagram, tagged in an Instagram from somebody in Sweden.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You're traveling around the world here, Pat.
Apparently my book has made it to the public library in Sweden. So I had to, of course, take a screenshot of that and put it on my Facebook, to which, friends and family were saying, we didn't know you knew anybody in Sweden. I don't. Except for, all you followers who, we kind of talk back and forth. But, man, that's awesome. That's how you know you've made the big time.
Oh, yeah.
That's when the money starts rolling in.
Absolutely.
Is when the Swedish library gets a hold of your text. That's, every time they check it out, they send me money. That doesn't happen. Not at all.
Not getting royalties yet?
As a matter of fact, when a library gets it, I don't get any money. But that's fine. I love it. That's amazing. And my question is, if it's in the Swedish library, where else is this thing? Because people have also written me and shared with me where they've found it in bookstores I've never heard of and stuff like that. That's amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that. So our next little segment we're going to do is our moment of Zen. You know how we have our daily moments of Zen on the Facebook, which is essentially a photo. I try to find the best disc golf photos on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, however they're shared with me to share with the world daily, and I share them. But I'm going to share with you a passage from my book, which we also shared on the Facebook earlier this week. And it goes like this. So leave your baggage at the car. It will not help you play a better round. It is only a distraction. Take time to play the game you love. Enjoy the possibility of every throw being a good one, and walk off the course generally feeling better than when you started. This is meditation. So have you ever experienced on the course where you're maybe your thoughts and feelings that you know at home have you brought them into your game?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It happened to me yesterday.
What happened yesterday?
Well, I have a friend of mine that is he just doesn't like disc golf, which makes me question our friendship a little bit. But he kept calling me, and I quote here, Frolf Lundgren, and which I want to be mad. It's a really clever name, but it upset me to the point where it kind of got into my head a little bit, and I had to step off and take a break, calm down a little bit. And I think that this passage is crucial, and I really think I should tape it to my dashboard. For when you start every round, why go play a very relaxing game when you're chasing that perfect shot, when you're having a great time, when you're upset? You got to clear your head and go enjoy a game that helps people all across the world just relax, have a good time, and be fit.
So you walked right off the course, right?
Oh yes, I absolutely had to.
Just because you felt like, well, what am I doing out here? I think that's what my book says to do too. If you discover yourself not having fun on the course anymore, it's time to walk off, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't want to be out there throwing my discs and being angry, because I love the game, and it's got a special part of my soul. And I can tell you that I guess, you should be able to take heckling or being picked on about something that you love or so on and so forth. Sure. But there's a line in the sand there where...
That doesn't mean it doesn't make you angry and mess with your psyche. It's not, being a wuss and walking off, it's recentering your mind to what's important.
Now, that person that was calling me Frolf Lundgren throughout the day today has been talking a whole bunch of trash. So finally I got him to agree to play around. And,
awesome.
Oh, we are playing for blood, Pat. I'm going to teach him a lesson.
That doesn't mean you're going to throw a driver at him, are you?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay.
Of course not.
Well,
I would never.
So you turned it around.
Absolutely.
Well, that's awesome.
I took his unwillingness to understand or even give the game a chance, turned it into a challenge, and whether he likes it or not, I think what's going to happen is I've just created a new disc golfer here.
So do you think it was the challenge that's bringing him out there, or do you think what do you think made him agree?
I think he's one of those guys that doesn't like what he doesn't understand. I think he's afraid of it. And basically,
like a lot of people.
Yeah. So by taking it from him heckling me to being able to say, bring it on, well, that brings out the man in him. And he says, I want to, okay, if you can do it, I can do it better.
Brings the alpha male out.
Exactly. Well,
brings out the lion.
Unbeknownst to him, he's going to go have the time of his life, play a game he's never played, probably fall in love with it, just like thousands of other people do. I swear, as soon as you throw one that's beautiful, you've got the bug and there's no going back.
I always say once you hit those chains, you're addicted. From then on. Well, that's awesome. And, we talk about all the time, that hashtag gets thrown around, grow the sport, a lot. But I even asked on Twitter this past week, what does that mean to you? And there was a long conversation of things of what how do we actually grow the sport? Do we just say the words grow the sport and automatically the sport grows? That's a question that you got to ask if you're going to throw that around. What does that mean to you? Pay-per-play courses, more private courses? Zach and I have talked about it before. We like playing private courses and things, as long as they're good.
I agree. Yeah, and I have no issue paying $3, $4, $5. I'm even comfortable with paying $100 a year to play a quality course.
For a great course.
Yes.
It's maintained.
I think, maintenance is really the biggest issue on a lot of courses, I think. But I think that the way the future's going is I think private's going to be a bigger deal.
Yeah.
And if I'm so fortunate in the future, I'd love to have my own private course. I think it'd be a great thing.
Hey, I'm saving up now. So y'all save up to come to Virginia Beach and play the Zen Disc Golf course because it's happening. It might be 5 years from now, but it's gonna. I'm hoping I'm at least gonna have a big enough property to put at least 9 holes on it.
Absolutely.
So let's go on. Like I mentioned, I ask a lot of questions on Twitter, and this is mainly to get people discussing things. If you're not following me on Twitter, it's at Zen Disc Golf. And today I asked, how much does disc weight matter to you? And so, Zach, what do you think about that?
Well, for me, I like my drivers to be in the 170 range.
Why?
I just like their ability to fight the wind a little better. I feel like the little extra weight can kind of handle the power that comes off of a big drive.
Okay.
But as far as the mid-range discs, I prefer mine to be in the 160 range. I feel like there's a little bit more finesse on my mid shots. And then for my putters, the ones I have 2 separate sets that I use. One I like to keep at 175 for my up shots, because I want them to sit down.
Okay.
And then for my actual putters, mouthful there, I like them to be 165, 166 exclusively because from 30,
wow, you're really specific on that.
Yeah, from 30 feet, I can't push a 175 the way I want to. So distance comes into it. Now, if I'm in the wind, I have the same putters in 175, and it comes down to a lot of the wind, and I have the ability to change it. But I think a lot of it's personal preference, and from a lot of the people I talk to, they don't really even care.
Does that change in this for different seasons for you? Like, like in the winter, do you get a different weight or?
No, I use a different
just
plastic, but the wind is the big factor. I think that, you got like the blizzard discs that can be as low as 130 grams.
Yeah,
you can't throw those in 20-mile-an-hour wind. It get just destroyed.
Right.
And I found that out playing a tournament down in New Bern, North Carolina, where there's 30-mile-an-hour crosswinds.
Right.
160-gram disc is not going to cut it.
Right.
Learned that lesson the hard way.
Yeah, you play down south a lot. Does that make a difference in the weight and the wind and different things down there too?
I think the lighter discs tend to skip more, especially down in the Florida areas where there's a lot of sand.
True.
They skip
because the terrain matters too.
Exactly. Now you playing in the hills of Alabama where there's a lot of clay and like I guess it's kind of like a coal rock. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Your smaller or lighter discs just get shredded.
Right.
So you need something a little heavier that'll hit the ground and won't kick up and roll, won't bounce so high, that kind of thing. So
it's really funny because you have like these really specific weights, and I'm all about feel. Like I have discs that aren't even labeled on the bottom, and I'm not going to bring them home and throw them on the food scale and weigh them. Right. I just know what feels right, and that's what I throw. So it's all about feel. But you're totally right. And then also when I have a disc, I know that if it's heavier, how I'm gonna release it is gonna be different.
Right.
If I'm gonna release it in a hyzer or an anhyzer or something, just depending on the weight. And you do get tuned into the weight of that disc, because I had that Claymore. Remember when we were out at Northwest, and you let me have your Claymore, and I said, this is definitely lighter. It was lighter by 1 gram.
1 gram.
And how? So that was either a really lucky guess, or I've just gotten tuned to we just really, the way that our body, can feel what it is. That's pretty cool.
Well, you use that Claymore off the long tees out there, and I thought you were crazy.
Yeah.
And no, I stood corrected. You hucked it out there. Beautiful, beautiful shot.
Well, thank you.
Setting up for a birdie putt. I was jealous.
I love that thing. I'm gonna be honest with you. We're not sponsored by Latitude 64 or anything. Not yet.
Not yet.
But I do love my Claymore. That is now. I used to throw a buzz, and now that's my go-to. I love it. So when we asked how much does disc weight matter to you, a couple of you responded, and Chad Cole says he plays a lot in the western side of Michigan, which makes heavy plastic more valuable to me in fighting the wind off Lake Michigan. So, yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about, too. Dan Brown says weight matters, and he says he throws a 172 Escape, and it's stable for him. At a 152, Air Escape is understable.
That's interesting.
So yeah. But the best comment of all time goes to Chris Bowden. Chris has been following me for a long time, and he's always got these witty comments. He says, I don't think that the disc's weight should matter as long as it's got a good personality and can make you laugh.
That is about the most beautiful statement right
so,
there.
Chris, your weight doesn't matter to us because you make us laugh. So.
Thank you for that, Chris. I saw that. I was at work. I was sitting in my car, and people watched me bust out laughing out of nowhere. They thought I was insane.
How perfect was that? That is so funny.
Now we're going to roll into our interview segment here on the Zen and the Art of Disc Golf podcast. Our inaugural interview is with Alan Barker of Infinite Discs. He is the founder and owner of Infinite Disc, and he is a great supporter of Zen and the Art of Disc Golf. And we thought it to be very fitting to have Alan on board today for our first interview. Alan, how are you today?
Hey, I'm excellent. Beautiful weather here in Utah, and so I don't know what else you could ask for.
I am so jealous. I love Utah so much.
Yeah, no, it's really sad. Out west here, we have had the best winter ever. Yeah. Whereas out east there, you guys have had some issues with
it's
snow.
Been out of control, and the disc golf courses are, mud up to your ankles like consistently. I was in Utah, in October, just traveling around, and we're actually, we found out since then that me and my wife were pregnant, or my wife is pregnant. I guess we do say we are pregnant. But
that's right. You may have sympathy pains for her. Yeah, and I got sick with my first. So I was part of it.
Yeah, well, I definitely have the food cravings, if that's anything. So at least every time I eat something, I say, this is for me, this is for the baby.
There you go.
Anyways, we were out there visiting, and we visited Bryce Canyon, and we fell in love with that place. And actually, our son's name is going to be Bryce.
Very nice.
Yeah, so we love Utah. Thank you so much for being on the show, by the way. And so why don't we get started? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Alan?
Yeah, sure. I'll just give you my 2-minute life history. So I was born in Utah, in Salt Lake area, lived there, grew up there as a youth. Big time. I love sports. I love games. I love competition. But, I wasn't exactly a big guy. When I was a sophomore in high school, I was 5'4", weighed 100 pounds. So, my aspirations to be a football or basketball player weren't exactly in my favor. But, I still, every day with friends, I would be playing, basketball, football, tennis, volleyball, bowling, ping pong, just love competing. So, when I was 19, I went on a Mormon mission to Canada. And then after that, for 2 years, I went to school at Brigham Young University, Idaho.
BYU?
Got it. Yeah, actually, BYU, Idaho. It's a smaller campus in Idaho instead of in Utah. So,
nice.
But it's the same basic thing. I got a degree in business, and there, once again, continued to play sports. I grew a little bit my senior year of high school, so played a lot of volleyball, basketball, a lot of ultimate. A little different than Patrick's punk rock background, it sounds like.
Wow, you know my history too then, huh?
I read the book. So and in college I was first heard of disc golf, and I thought it sounded stupid. I was big into the ultimate side of things. I'm like, no, it's all about laying out. It's about, catching frisbees, throwing it at target. That doesn't sound very fun. So
wow.
Never played it. After graduation, I started my first business where I sold Dish Network door to door. I had a team that went with me, and we went all over the Western United States. So while I was living in Tucson, Arizona, was the first time I ever played disc golf, just as part of a church activity. And then the guy who headed it, I had my ultimate background, so I was fairly good. He invited us out to try throwing those real frisbees. So I played a few times about 10 years ago. And then while I was in Lubbock, Texas, had a big knee injury while playing basketball. Had a big ACL tear, and that kind of ruined my the sports I could play. Being a basketball and volleyball player primarily, without a good knee, it was kind of hard. So that kind of changed. It was that time too. I got married, just before my big accident. Wow. And now I have 4 kids. I've had a number of businesses, and I started Infinite Discs about 2.5 years ago.
Right on. Well, yeah, I mean, you do have a different background than I did as far as all the sports. But let me ask you, since you know about the book, I talk a lot about the mental side of the sport, and it's obviously been argued that a lot of the things and the things that I talk about in the book can be used in any sport. And I absolutely 100 anytime somebody says that, I say, yeah, absolutely. That this was my sport, so I wrote it about this. So how do you feel about the mental side of how it equates to everything else? Do you think it's all kind of similar?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's that balance, having that balance, that perspective. I remember, just playing volleyball, just believing, hey, mentally, I can make this play. It can happen. And having that positive vibe versus, oh no, I'm going to mess up. I'm not going to make that pass. Mm-hmm. It's so the mental aspect for how it will affect your performance can be applied to all sports, but definitely disc golf has a special place because it is so mental.
Well, you have to kind of step up to every single shot, and then you have to almost plan every move. And that's why I say it's like chess. Like you get yourself in a situation, and then you've got to get to that situation and then make up a game plan from there. And you have to take in all kinds of factors into focus. Tell us a little bit about Infinite. How did that start? I know you mentioned starting it up, but how did that transpire? What inspired you to do that?
It really started by complete accident. So, I played disc golf a little bit 10 years ago, and then they built a course in Providence, Utah, right by my in-laws' house about 3 years ago. So I just started playing and I got addicted. It brought back, I'd been kind of away from sports for a few years since my knee injury. And so I got addicted. So I was kind of looking for an excuse to buy lots of discs to test because that's kind of fun.
Absolutely.
So I started a blog. It was the initial start with one of the guys I was working with. We just started a blog and we started to get some pretty good traffic. So I was looking for a way to, kind of monetize my little review blog. And I found out there was this company in Utah called Altitude Disc Golf. So I'm like, perfect. I can partner with them. We can, find a way to make some money off of our blog. Well, turned out at the time they were actually going out of business.
Right on.
So I was like, maybe I should buy them out. And so I offered, but they didn't want to negotiate. But then the seeds had been planted in my mind. So I just started Infinite Discs.
That's awesome. How is Infinite different? Would you say is different from other companies out there on the web or in the pro shops? Are you a brick and mortar store too, or are you just online?
We have a brick and mortar store here in Logan, Utah.
Oh, right on.
I've honestly never actually been to any other pro shops, so I guarantee it's not as nice, especially the visual display. But we have a lot of discs. The main focus, my background, my previous work, I did internet marketing. And so that's kind of what makes us different. When we built our initial website, the idea was, hey, let's provide information for disc golfers. So we had the reviews, we had the flight charts. And then at the end of last year, we added an extra element. We have a completely custom built site specifically for our disc golf purpose and for being a lot of information as well as having great prices. But Some of the things that are kind of unique compared to most of the other online sites is we take pictures of every disc. So you can see, hey, a lot of people really care about which stamp they get on their disc.
Yeah.
You know, and there's different shades of pink, which are kind of hard to tell unless you can actually see the picture.
Or if you're colorblind like me.
then that's just hard.
I have to have my wife select my disc to make sure I don't buy pink.
Is this what I'll be able to see?
Yeah, exactly. I stay totally away from red and black. I couldn't throw a red disc. But that's cool that you can do that, because a lot of sites, and honestly, for somebody like me who is colorblind, there's a lot of websites out there that will sell the discs, but they'll say, you know, we'll pick the color, you know, and that doesn't work for me. So, because if you send me a red one, I'm going to have to take it to play again and sell it for $1.
Yeah, that's not a very good investment.
You know, because it's either that or lose it. It's just the way it happens. So yeah, and your website does look phenomenal, by the way. And
Well, thank you.
yeah, Alan, you and I, we don't know each other at all, did we?
Nope, just a few emails.
That's right. And I remember my first email. Of course, I'm acting like it was a long time ago. It was like 3 weeks ago or something like that. But
Yeah, something like that.
I say that because I think I email you like 27 times a day. You're probably going to have, it's just going to start going straight to your spam folder.
Yep.
Oh, that's why I only saw one of them. Okay.
But anyway, so when I emailed you, in my first email, I said, I want to partner up with you guys because I really like the way that you do business online, and I really like your internet marketing. Actually, somebody had, I put up a little tweet today that said, I'm interviewing you, and what questions would they have for Alan Barker of Infinite Discs? And I got one back from somebody who asked, how in social media marketing, what is your number one go-to as far as how do you get the most activity out of marketing online?
Yeah, no, by far the best way to get interaction, which equals views, is giveaways. The other thing is just having good questions or things that people are interested in talking about, interested in responding, interested in sharing, which for us, giveaways have always been the best way to get some interaction.
Right on. And it's all about adding value. And I think that's how I responded to that person, that every different social outlet, from Twitter to Facebook to Instagram, they all have their pros and they all have their cons. But it's using them all together, throwing them all in the toolbox and using them the way that they're supposed to be used. That's how I've gotten my best activity. So I wrote you.
Absolutely. And you know, our other big focus is, you know, on the search engine optimization, which is the same thing. You know, for our site to rank better than some of the others, we need to have better information that the consumers are going to care about.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing. If you're not offering value, you're just spam.
Yeah. And the thing about SEO, and I don't know a whole lot about SEO, I just know that, you have to stay relevant. You have to continue to update, and you know, if you're not doing the blog thing, which I kind of did the blog thing for a little while, but then discovered that it was just too time consuming or something. And now I'm kind of getting back into it, and I like the podcast thing so far. Of course, I got Zach to bounce off of here. So
I think it's great. I mean, I think the podcast is, for us, I think it's going to be amazing. How many times do you get to have a sit down conversation with someone like yourself, Alan? It's beautiful.
Yeah. This is awesome. And I think that as far as getting activity from the listeners, you know, if they're sitting there listening in the car, they're listening to the three of us talk. It's like we're sitting there in their car and we're all having a conversation with. I think it brings realism, and it shows that we're all real people here.
Yep.
So that's why we like the podcast. And from there, I did want to bring up the sponsorship and the fact that I came to you and I said, I'm doing these giveaways. I'm getting fantastic numbers. And, basically I was paying out of pocket to give these discs away. And I kind of came up with the idea, hey, well, if we attached some kind of store's logo to it and their URL, then they could also benefit, and we could all benefit from that. And you signed on like that. I can't. I jumped up in the air, and screamed.
Yeah, no. To me, that was an easy question to ask for our marketing dollars for return on investment. So we appreciate all you're doing too.
The funny thing is that, you can do this stuff, you can give this stuff away, and you can be generous and all that kind of stuff, but you're always going to have those people that go, it's a scam.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have that over there?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it always makes me laugh, but I thought I'd bring you onto the podcast to go, it's not a scam. I'm physically sending these discs away from my warehouse.
No, I do. I've really packaged them.
Awesome.
So they do go out. So your Zen Disc Golf giveaway sponsored by Infinite Discs will get to you as long as you tell me what you want.
And just going back to disc golf in general, since you've been in business of disc golf and things, I stepped away from disc golf for a period of, I think I say like 13, 14 years in the book. I played in the mid 90s, and then I came back a little bit more recently within the past 5 or 6 years. And just like you, I was hooked. But even in the past, I'd say 5 years, I've seen big changes in disc golf. What kind of changes have you seen since you started your business?
Yeah, no, it's crazy because really I'm less than 3 years, but there's been so many changes from the retailer side of things. Just the sheer number of discs, the new disc models, the new plastics, it's insane. When we started at the end of 2012, Innova, Discraft, they had full lines of discs. Mm-hmm. Then there were a bunch of little manufacturers, but now there are lots of manufacturers that have full lines. And so, just the choices that the consumers have to make is huge. Here locally in Utah, before that course was built locally in Providence, there wasn't much of a disc golf scene at all here. Now, just in my local little metro area of 120,000 people, we have 4 courses, and the main one, it's busy every day. It's unreal just how many people come out, just seeing how, and so nearly everybody, they're pretty new to the game, but they've caught on and they like it. So locally in Utah, we've seen the number of courses double in the last 2.5 years.
Do you have a lot of pay-to-play courses, or are most of them free, or what?
Most of them are free. We do have one pay-to-play course, which has done really well. It's on a golf course that was struggling to get enough people. But
right on.
Nice.
It gets more disc golfers now than it does.
I think they have one of those in Myrtle Beach. That's where my family lives. You can go out there. It's just a little par 3 course, but you can play either disc or ball golf.
Nice. Yeah, and then we actually have another new course here in Utah that used to be a ball golf course I played as a kid. And, the golf economy has really suffered, especially here in Utah. And so they've closed down several courses. And so that land has been to disc golf's benefit.
So how does that work on the green when you have a tombstone just land on the green when they also want to play ball golf?
I've never actually been playing while there have been, a significant number of ball golfers. That course was put up in the fall and when it wasn't peak season. But, the greens are always out of bounds. They're considered out of bounds. And the way the course is designed, it tries to keep away from the greens.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I always wondered about that one course down there. I was like, man, we were probably killing their greens.
It's quite the divot.
Absolutely. So with the all of the new discs coming out, do you see at any point that you feel like it's going to get saturated, or because of all of the discs being flooded out there that it might be, supply and demand driving the cost and things down, or do you just think it's all part of growing the sport?
That's a hard one to say. I mean, what I see a lot is that there's becoming a lot of brand loyalty families, especially among MVP and Trilogy fans. And so for those people that are the fanatics, this is their life, their religion. It's like, every new disc from this brand I'm buying. They don't pay attention to some of the other stuff going out, but when it's that brand, they keep growing. So for those companies that have that cult-like following, they're fine with making more and more discs. Some of the other companies that aren't as doing as well marketing wise, I definitely see a decline, but because I believe overall disc golf itself is growing, those companies will probably be all right. They just won't grow at the rapid rate as I would say the Trilogy company and MVP are growing.
I'd say about 4 years ago when I started playing, I noticed that most players would throw strictly Innova, strictly Discraft, and then over the last 4 years, I've noticed a lot of players are throwing a mixed bag. Based on your sales, do you notice a lot of brand loyalty, or do you see people buying discs from different brands in bulk orders?
Yeah, there is some brand loyalty where people will only throw the certain, but overall, the majority are mixed. They'll purchase from several different brands. We actually use that. We do our annual State of Disc Golf survey where and we've written a couple articles on our blog. If you want to check it out, infinitedisc.com/blog. And we went over kind of the details of the number of people that throw mixed bags versus exclusive. And,
that was interesting. I did see that.
Yeah. So that it's definitely a minority that only throws one brand. But a lot of those minority people are the super heavy buyers.
With us talking about, how you've seen it changed, and we've talked a little bit about where you see it going, but where do you in fact see disc golf going? I know it's growing, but, at what rate is it growing on your side of the counter?
Yeah. I mean, on our side, it's growing really fast, but I think that might also be some things we're doing versus just general disc golf.
Sure.
But, I see it continue to grow simply because the sport offers what people want. It's low cost. Well, it can be. It should be low cost for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. It's something you can play during your lunch break. You can play it by yourself. You can play it with a group. It can be really competitive, or if you just want a little family reunion rec activity, it works too. So there's just so many conveniences to this. You don't need to get 16 guys to play a game of baseball. You can go out by yourself or just with a couple buddies. So so I forgot the original question, but
it's okay.
I see it growing a lot, and to me the key for disc golf to continue growing is it needs more people. A lot of people talk about, hey, the pros, we need more sponsors. We need the pro events to be on TV. But have you guys ever heard somebody who doesn't play disc golf that has watched a disc golf YouTube video?
No. I can't say that I have.
No, yeah. It's only those who have played and fall in love with the game because they play that are going to watch it. So, to me, the key is more courses, convenient courses of all skill types are going to bring more people. And then that's how disc golf can grow to pay the Paul McBeths a little more money.
That's awesome, because you just answered my next question, which is a lot of people throw around that hashtag grow the sport all over the place. And I, every time I see that, and I'm not trying to be, I'm supposed to be the positive Zen Disc Golf guy.
That's right.
But there's that little negative piece of me go, what does that mean?
I mean, I think it's a little different for each person. Whereas, for instance, you, Pat, might be more interested in purchasing land and building affordable courses that meet different skill levels, whereas someone like myself might be more interested in recruiting individuals to play, people that have never heard of the sport that want to try something new, something different, that the small guys that can't play football, the kids that need a positive outlet.
Right, like me.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm in the same boat, man.
Well, don't let me hiding behind this microphone deter you. I'm no monster. I'm a meaty 6 foot at 140 pounds. So don't think I'm a monster here.
But he has
perfect
this
disc golf.
Yeah, but he has this icy stare.
Very powerful. I love it.
I hired him this week to be my podcast co-host and also bodyguard.
Yes.
Oh, good.
I don't know if you're
pretty much a needed thing with podcasting. There's a lot of people that want to take podcasters down. So.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with a little movie called Roadhouse, but I taught that guy a lot.
Well, Alan, thank you so much for coming on the show and your insights. And I'm sure it's amazing. I'm sure it's going to be entertaining for the folks at home. And I'll be emailing you like 27 times a day, continuing
Awesome.
until you stop emailing me back. This sponsorship is discontinued. So thank you so much, Alan. You have anything else that you'd like to add?
Hey, no, thanks for having me, and keep up the good work. You've done some really good things that are taking a little pressure off of me for trying to do Facebook promotions. Because I'm like, sweet, I'll just share the Zen Disc Golf post. So
hey, keep sharing them. I appreciate it. It just, like I said, it keeps growing every day. Like for you, it's growing every day for me, and continues to surprise. So everybody go check out Alan Barker's company, infinitediscs.com. That's where you can go and actually see the physical disc that you're going to buy. The color, the weight, the stamp, everything. I mean, what more could you ask for? That's about it for our show today. You have anything else, Zach?
No, thanks for having me, Pat. Alan, it was a pleasure. Look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Awesome. Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.
As always, please subscribe to the Zen Disc Golf podcast and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Most importantly, though, just throw.